Hi all, welcome back to a new post today. So a special session was called by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the new Parliament building. His first speech was about women-led development, and the first very bill to be introduced in the new Parliament building was the Women Reservation Bill for having reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies. We already have women reservation in the local bodies. So this bill is called as the 128th Amendment Bill of 2023, which provides for 33% of reservation as women representatives in the Lok Sabha as MPs and also the state legislative assemblies as the MLAs. So let's have a quick review of some important points, especially women reservation. Their participation in the political arena is called as political empowerment of women, and it is a very powerful and indispensable tool for them to eliminate a lot of gender inequality and also discrimination, and to bring gender sensitive laws and policies in the country. So according to the 2011 population census, we have about 48.46% of females in the country, and the rest, that is 51.54%, is males. So the bill proposes a 33% of reservation for women in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assembly by rotation of the constituencies in the state, and also along with the state legislative assemblies, also for the National Capital Territory of Delhi. Similar reservation is also provided within the seats reserved for the SCs and the ST. The bill proposes that the reservation will continue for 15 years. So it's not it's not for ever, but it has a time period, so it will continue for 15 years. Now the seats reserved for women will be rotated after each delimitation exercise. Reservation for women in the panchayati and the municipalities was provided by inserting Article 243D and 243T in the Constitution by the 73rd and the 74th Constitution Amendment Act of 1992. But political empowerment definitely will be half-hearted if they are not represented sufficiently in the Lok Sabha and the state legislative assemblies as well. The Constituent Assembly will, this bill especially will need a constitution amendment, and that too a special way of constitution amendment where ratification of half of the states will be needed. Therefore, it will have to be passed by special majority in both houses of the Parliament, that is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and then according to the provisions of Article 368, the Constitutional Amendment Bill will require ratification by at least 50% of the states, as their consent is needed, because the election, that is the seats in the state legislative assemblies, will also be reserved for women. So is this bill altogether a new bill that has been introduced afresh? No, it has not been introduced afresh. It has already been introduced in 1996 in the 11th Lok Sabha as the 81st Amendment Bill in 1996, which sought to reserve not less than 1/3 of the total number of seats filled by direct election to both the houses of the people and the legislative assemblies of the states for women. The said bill was then referred to a joint committee of the Parliament, which further strengthened some of the provisions of the bill by extending the provision of reservation even in those cases where the number of seats was less than 3 in a state or a union territory. So we have certain states and union territories that even send one member to the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, and less than even 20 members to the Lok Sabha as well. The Constitution 81st Amendment Bill, now 1996, was then reported to a joint committee. However, it lapsed because of the dissolution of the 11th Lok Sabha. It was then again introduced in 1998 as this time the 84th Amendment Bill, and during the 12th Lok Sabha. It lapsed on the dissolution of the 12th Lok Sabha. Yet another attempt was made as the 85th Amendment Bill in 1999 in the Lok Sabha. However, the bill did not be pursued due to lack of consensus among the political parties, and the last such attempt was made in 2008 when the previous Prime Minister Manmohan Singh government introduced the bill in the Rajya Sabha, and it was passed in the Rajya Sabha in 2010. After that, it became a property of the Lok Sabha, where it could not be passed and lapsed due to dissolution. Now, presently, the total number of members in the Lok Sabha is 542, out of which 78, that is 14.39% are female members, and the rest of the 86% is male members. The average number of women in the representatives house in India is 8%, which is very, very less, keeping their share of percentage in the population, which is close to 50%. Now, will this bill actually come into effect immediately? Now, there is a conflict in the bill which the opposition parties have been raising regarding the delimitation, because the bill itself says that this provision of reservation for women will be applicable after the delimitation. So the bill says that the provision of the constitution relating to the reservation of seats in the House of People, that is the Lok Sabha, and the Legislative Assembly of the state and the Legislative Assembly of the National Capital Territory of Delhi shall come into effect after an exercise of delimitation that is undertaken for this purpose after the relevant figures of the first census after commencement of the Constitution of 128th Amendment Act, that is 2023, will be published. So there is, as of now, there is no clarity on the 2001 census data because it was half completed due to the pandemic. At the same time, the government is already saying that as per the existing law, the next delimitation exercise may be conducted after the first census taken after 2026. And keeping all this in mind, the implementation of the bill cannot be done immediately, but it will take somewhere not before than 2029. So definitely the bill is not going to come into effect immediately. So this is what. So what exactly, apart from knowing this, the provisions of the bill, what is the status of women, keeping in mind the status, the population of women in the country, which is close to 50%, representation of women is very, very less. Only 14% of the women in the Lok Sabha, or only 14% of the MPs in the Lok Sabha are women. Let's have a quick review of what is the status at the state level. So if you look at the total number of women in the Lok Sabha since 1952. In 1952, it was only 4.41%. There were only 24 women MPs in the Lok Sabha. In 2004, it rose to 52. In 2009, it became 64. In 2014, 68. And now in 2019, it came 81 and continued so as 81 itself. So this is about 15%. So in 1952, it was 4%. Therefore, we can come to a conclusion that it has been increasing, but definitely not representing the population that it consists of. In the Rajya Sabha, out of the 245 members in 1952, there were 15 members, much less than the Lok Sabha. In 1970, again 14 members. In 2014, 31 members. And in 2022, 29 members of all the MPs in the Rajya Sabha are women. If you look at the composition of women in the Council of Ministers, as of 2019, it is 13 members, and in 1952, it was only 2 members. So also this can come to a conclusion that it has been increasing, but definitely not to the level of which the population is, or it's not on par with the constitution of men in the Council of Ministers. If you look at the average share of women MLAs in the state legislatures, Chhattisgarh 11%, Madhya Pradesh 11%, Haryana 12%, West Bengal 12.5%, and Rajasthan is 13.8%. So gender wise, we have 461 male members and 81 female members in the Lok Sabha, and this is what the data says of the Inter-Parliamentary Union. And if you look at the state-wise, if you look at the state-wise, the highest number of MPs with regard to gender-wise, yeah, as I told you, it is just 14.94%. With female and male, it is only 85%. And this is regard with the state data as well. Now, look, comparing the country-wise, if you look at the country-wise, we are less. The countries that are less, that have less women MPs than India are Malaysia, Japan, Brunei, Sri Lanka, and Thailand. And countries that have more women than India in their parliament or representative bodies are South Korea, Mongolia, Cambodia, Bangladesh, our very neighbor, Indonesia, Pakistan. Pakistan, it's 21%, Bangladesh, it's 20%, in Singapore, it's 23%, in China, 24%, Vietnam, 27%, Laos, 28%, and Nepal, 30%, Philippines, 30%. So the countries with the most number of women in the national parliament, that as of 2022, Rwanda, that is 61.3%. It is about, in Cuba, it's 53.4%, Nicaragua is 50.6%, Mexico 50%, UAE 50%, New Zealand 49%, and Iceland 49%. US, it is 27%. So on an average globally, in all representative bodies, the percentage of women compared to men is 26% of women compared to men in the representative bodies, and this is again by the Inter-Parliamentary Union. So this is some information about the status of women in the representative bodies in the country and comparison of India with the other countries. We need more women in the lawmaking. We need more women representatives, we need more women ministers in the Council of Ministers. That's because there is a gender dimension to every institution or norm or even every law in the country as well. So policies also have to have a gender equality, they have to be gender equal. And therefore, because women are mostly backward in the country like India, because of the societal norms, values and the stereotypes, there is an urgent need to increase the percentage of women in the representative bodies, so that we have much more political empowerment of women, and also there is gender equality, and we can deal with gender discrimination as well. So this is about the Women Representation Bill. A little bit of data which I think will really was really helpful to you. You need to know why political empowerment of women is really important. This topic is really is helpful from your GS Mains Paper 2 with regard to UPSC, and also the TSPSC and MPPSC Group 1 examinations as well. And if you did, please do like, share, subscribe, and I shall see you in my next post. Until then, it's very happy learning.